And we are live. Gosh dang it, I hate being a crippled. I'm clicking all the wrong dang buttons. It's not making this job any easier. But I'm gonna actually minimize my talking this episode, believe it or not. Yeah, right. We'll see. Hold on to your britches. Because doesn't it feel like the world is about to explode? Potentially the world is ending. I don't mean to be all crazy sounding, and it's not even doom and gloomy. I got some funny feelings. I tell you, it's time we take our role serious and do what we can. There are far more important things to be engaged in than the majority of us are. So, I don't know how I like this microphone setup. And it just kind of moved it a little bit. All this moving around is getting exhausting. Okay, let's kick this off on Instagram and then... Alright, we should be good. Let's just verify. Give me 1 second. Of course, that's not... my gimp hand, I tell you what. It's not helping with me losing weight, I tell you that. Can't go to weights. A freaking bum arm. Okay. So let me tell you, I am so grateful for Janet and all her hard work. Once again, I don't necessarily agree on everything she covers, but I know she ebb and flows really close to the truth and at times just hits that nail on the head, so to speak. So I can't recall what all these episodes consist of. I do know it starts touching into like Planned Parenthood at some point, and then more relevant current, issues. But let's go ahead and just dive in and she's just done her due diligence and put in a lot of work. So let's seek some education, some knowledge. It's crucial. Frig, my brain's already fried.
The Protocols of Zion, dismissed as a hoax, but we can assure you, after months of in-depth research, that they are not. They were slightly altered.
I'm sorry, let's just check. Yep.
Yes, but they are not a hoax. In 24 protocols, the Elders of Zion described their vision of the world, its population, and their ultimate goal: absolute world dominance and a one-world government. A new world order in which their king, the King of Kings, will be crowned on the throne of Zion to rule the world forevermore. Some people believe the protocols were copied from a 19th century book, The Dialogue in Hell Between Machiavelli and Montesquieu by Maurice Joly, in which Napoleon was altered to Jew and France was altered to the world. Others believe the Protocols of Zion were copied from Machiavelli, Montesquieu and Rousseau, written by Jacob Venedey. Then there was the theory of our friend Baruel. Remember him? He believed that the original culprits were not the Jews, nor Napoleon, but the Masons. Baruel wrote a series of 4 books about the French Revolution, in which he presented evidence of the involvement of secret societies. So that's yet another theory. And then there was a court case, in which the judge ruled the Protocols of Zion a forgery. Like we said, we studied the Protocols of Zion for months. We compared them with the original French version of Dialogue in Hell between Machiavelli and Montesquieu by Joly, and yes, we did indeed find a lot of similarities. Some parts were even identical. Does that mean the protocols were copied? Stolen, if you like, from Joly's work? No, not necessarily. It only means they are connected. It only means the protocols were not new when they were published in Russia in 1905. They were not the minutes of a recent meeting between Zionists, as is claimed. But apart from that, one cannot draw any other conclusion. It would be a literary blunder to simply state that the Protocols of Zion were based on the work of Maurice Joly or Venedey or any other 19th century author. As a linguist with a degree in paleography, the study of ancient documents, I can assure you that most statements about the Protocols of Zion are incorrect, like the verdict of the court case, which was based on a highly unprofessional approach of the matter. The problem with the Protocols of Zion is that they are surrounded by emotions. The people who study them are confronted with their own belief system. Meaning, if you blame the Jews of the wrongs in the world, you will tend to believe the Protocols are genuine. You will use the Protocols as proof of the evil of the Jewish people. However, if you are Jewish, or if you lost your Jewish friends in the war, you will tend to believe the Protocols are a fraud, made only in Russia in 1905 to make the Jewish people look really, really bad. We believe the Protocols of Zion to be very old. It seems to us that they were the source text from which the other books arose, not the other way around. Remember Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Order of the Illuminati? In 1776, he put together a document that gave a clear overview of the aims, convictions, and protocols of the Illuminati, or the Cabal, the do's and the don'ts. That was his assignment, as given to him by Rothschild. Did he put those protocols together from scratch? We think that's highly unlikely. What if the original protocols were given to him by Rothschild? Remember the Constantinople letter given to Adam Weishaupt by Rothschild? Make no mistake, the Rothschild family was incredibly powerful. They were direct descendants from the Khazarian nobility that had fled Russia in around 1000 AD. You bet they had many original documents and protocols in their possession. Could those protocols be the original source text for the 20th century Protocols of Zion as published in Russia? If that is the case, you can rest assured that Khazar was altered in Jew, Khazarian in Jewish, etc. The perfect text that would come in very handy as a trigger for anti-Semitism in the Russian Revolution and both world wars to turn the Jews into the ultimate scapegoats. The more we studied the subject, the more we came to realize how the Jews have been used by the Khazars throughout the ages to receive the blame of everything. Everything that went wrong, everything the high-ranked Khazars did to suppress the people, everything was blamed on the Jews.
Both sides of the coin.
After all, for the outside world, the Khazars were Jews, remember? Ashkenazi, Nazi. Do you still believe that's a coincidence? So, what exactly is in those protocols?
Guys, I just want to take a second and show some appreciation for you. I know these are pretty wild, deep dives, and some of it doesn't seem so relevant, but she does do a good job bringing it all together. Well, I got to wrap this up. We got to get through these. I got to get down to the valley. I'm actually hoping to vote today, cast my ballot, because I don't know if I show up tomorrow whether it's just going to be a zoo or not. So I'm hoping to get down there today, which means another relocation, which is freaking exhausting me, but I appreciate you all. It's what a journey, right? Once again, that saying from Socrates, there is one good knowledge and one evil ignorance. And the more we can absorb, it's going to lead us to figuring out more so the truths and providing solutions. And I'm just so excited. And I know we can achieve a better, brighter future tomorrow together. I'm just going to shut up. I'm so fried. I can't even explain to you. It just, the more I feel this way and neurologically, like cognitively tripping up, the more I want to sound the alarms on the levels of attack and the strategic silent attacks they're deploying to diminish our resilience and our abilities. And it's no secret. Like just today, I was out there and the skies are crazy streaked yet again. We had a couple of days there. It seemed pretty clear, but it's now just gridded and it's getting blanketed. And we gotta show up. We gotta end that right now. If you don't know about the actual sprays, the actual chemical compounds, and the distinction, the difference between a contrail and a chemtrail, because there is a difference and both are happening. Okay? It's not even debatable. It's just, if you want to believe the talking heads and not do your research, like that's on you. But I don't want others to be feeling this way. I can only imagine if we all kind of ended up feeling this way, or worse, continually declining, then there really is no chance at maintaining our freedoms. There really is no chance at a quality life. And let's just do what we can. Appreciate you.
Precisely what we see in our modern day world. The protocols are a description of all the possible ways the Cabal used to control, manipulate, brainwash and dominate the Goyim, the ordinary people, the non-Khazars.
Right.
Here they come, and you better hold on to your seat. Mind you, we narrowed it down for you, as there are not only 24 protocols, but also 293 paragraphs. We filtered them all down to the most essential ones, and in some cases, slightly altered the syntax of the sentences, so that the old use of words became more understandable. Each paragraph number will be shown on screen, in case you wish to do your own research, which we highly recommend. We advise you to listen carefully. This might be boring to some, but it's crucial information.
Right.
If you skip this part, you will not understand part 15, for instance. And we can assure you, if you don't have the shivers from top to toe by the end of this part, you didn't fully get it. And we advise you to watch again. Here we go.
Thanks, Janet.
First of all, their disdain, their contempt is shocking. The mob is savage and displays its savagery at every opportunity. The moment the mob seizes freedom in its hands, it turns to anarchy, which is the highest degree of savagery. We are interested in killing out the Goyim. Our power is in the chronic shortness of food and physical weakness of the worker, because that implies he is made the slave of our will. We shall move the mobs by want, envy and hatred, and with their hands we shall wipe out all those who hinder us on our way. The Goyim are a flock of sheep, and we are their wolves. If we've been able to bring them to such a pitch of stupid blindness, is that not amazingly clear proof of the degree to which the mind of the Goyim is undeveloped in comparison with our mind? This is mainly which guarantees our success. The presidents are mere puppets on their strings. We replace the ruler of the republics by a caricature of a government, by a president taken from the mob, from the midst of our puppet creatures, our slaves. We shall arrange elections in favor of such presidents who have in their past some dark, undiscovered secret.
Right.
This will make them trustworthy agents for the accomplishment of our plans out of fear of exposure and from the natural desire of everyone who has attained power, namely the privileges, advantages and honor connected with the office of president. We shall take the right to propose new laws or make changes in existing laws, as the president is only a puppet in our hands. Liberals and Masons are relentlessly used. The part played by the liberals, utopian dreamers, will be finally played out when our government is acknowledged. Till such time they will continue to do us good service. Therefore, we shall continue to direct their minds to all sorts of vain conceptions of fantastic theories, new and progressive. Until we come into our kingdom, we shall create and multiply Masonic lodges in all the countries of the world, absorb into them all who are prominent in public activity. For these lodges are our principal intelligence office and means of influence. All these lodges we shall bring under one central administration, known to us alone, and to all others absolutely unknown, which will be composed of our learned elders. The most secret political plots will be known to us and fall under our guiding hands on the very day of their conception. Among the members of these lodges will be almost all the agents of international and national police, since their service is irreplaceable to us, as they have their own measures with the insubordinate. The class of people who willingly enter into secret societies are those who live by their reason, careerists, mostly light-minded people, with whom we shall have no difficulty in dealing and in using. But if there should arise in its midst a plot, then at the head of that plot will be no other than one of our most trusted servants. The goyim enter the lodges out of curiosity or in the hope to get a nibble at the public pie, and some of them in order to obtain a hearing before the public for their impracticable and groundless fantasies. They thirst for success and applause, of which we are remarkably generous. You cannot imagine to what extent the wisest of the goyim can be brought to a state of unconscious naivete in their arrogance, and how easy it is to take the heart out of them by the slightest ill success, though it be nothing more than the stoppage of the applause they had, and to reduce them to a slavish submission for the sake of winning a renewal of success. These tigers in appearance have the souls of sheep, and the wind blows freely through their heads. We execute Masons in ways that none but the Brotherhood can ever have a suspicion of, not even the victims themselves of our death sentence. They all die when required, as if from a normal kind of illness. Knowing this, even the Brotherhood dare not protest. By such methods, we have plucked out of the midst of Masonry the very root of protest against us. The press will be their golden tool to steer the mob. Through the press we have gained the power to influence while remaining ourselves in the shade. Not a single announcement will reach the public without our control. All news items are received by a few agencies. These agencies will be entirely ours and will give publicity only to what we dictate to them.
Right.
All our newspapers will be of all possible complexions: aristocratic, republican, revolutionary, even anarchical. Those fools who will think they are repeating the opinion of a newspaper of their own camp will be repeating our opinion, or any opinion that seems desirable for us. The people shall be distracted with empty words and broken promises. We shall raise the rate of wages, which, however, will not bring any advantage to the workers, for at the same time we shall produce a rise in prices of the basic necessities of life, claiming that it arises from the decline of agriculture and cattle breeding. There is another reason why they will close their eyes, for we shall keep promising them to give back all the liberties we've taken away as soon as we have quelled the enemies of peace and tamed all parties. We shall distract them with amusements, games, pastimes, fashions, people's palaces. Through the press we shall propose competitions in art, in sport, in all kinds. These interests will finally distract their minds. All layers of society will be infiltrated. It is from us that the all-engulfing terror proceeds. We have in our service persons of all opinions, of all doctrines, restaurating monarchists, demagogues, socialists, communists, and utopian dreamers. We have harnessed them all to the task of drilling away the last remnants of authority. By these acts, all states are in torture and ready to sacrifice everything for peace and tranquility. But we will not give them peace until they openly acknowledge our international supergovernment, and with submissiveness. We have got our hands into the administration of the law, into the conduct of elections, into the press, into liberty of the person, but principally into education and training as being the cornerstones of a free existence. The administrators whom we shall choose from among the public, with strict regard to their capacity for obedience, will not be persons trained in the arts of government, and will therefore easily become pawns in our game, in the hands of men of learning and genius, who will be their advisors, specialists bred and reared from early childhood to rule the affairs of the whole world. We shall surround our government with a whole world of economists, Around us will be a constellation of bankers, industrialists, capitalists, and the main thing, millionaires, because everything will be settled by the question of figures. Who will ever suspect that all these people were stage managed by us, according to a political plan which no one has so much as guessed at in the course of many centuries? The ultimate threat. You may say that the Goyim will rise upon us, arms in hand, if they guess what is going on before the time comes. But in the West we have against this a maneuver of such appalling terror that the very stoutest hearts quail. The undergrounds, metropolitans, those subterranean corridors, which, before the time comes, will be driven under all the capitals, and from where the capitals will be blown into the air with all their organizations and archives. They will cause mayhem. We have stirred up every form of enterprise. We have armed all parties. We have set up authority as a target for every ambition. Of states, we have made gladiatorial arenas where a lot of confused issues contend. A little more, and disorders and bankruptcy will be universal. This hatred will be further magnified by the effects of economic crises, which will stop dealing on the exchanges and bring industry to a standstill. Universal economic crises whereby we shall throw upon the streets whole mobs of workers simultaneously in all the countries of Europe. These mobs will rush to shed the blood of those whom they have envied from their cradles in the simplicity of their ignorance, and whose property they will then be able to loot. Remember the French Revolution? The secrets of its preparations are well known to us, for it was wholly the work of our hands. There will be a transition period. In order to put public opinion into our hands, we must bring it into a state of bewilderment by giving so many contradictory opinions that the Goyim will lose their heads in the labyrinth and come to see that the best thing is to have no opinion of any kind in political matters. In order for the people to become accustomed to obedience, it is necessary to give lessons of humility and therefore to reduce the production of articles of luxury. We shall re-establish small master production, which will mean laying a mine under the private capital of manufacturers. In the resulting chaos, people will fail to understand one another. It will discourage any kind of personal initiative, which might hinder our affair in any degree. There is nothing more dangerous than personal initiative. If it has genius behind it, such initiative can do more harm to us than can be done by millions of people among whom we have sown discord. We must so direct the education of the Goyim communities that whenever they come upon a matter requiring initiative, they may drop their hands in despairing impotence. We shall so wear down the Goyim that they will offer us international power that will enable us without any violence gradually to absorb all the state forces of the world and to form a super government. In place of the rulers of today, we shall set up a super government administration. Its hands will reach out in all directions, and its organization will be of such colossal dimensions that it cannot fail to subdue all the nations of the world. The moment of the recognition of our despot will come when the peoples, utterly wearied by the incompetence of their rulers, a matter which we shall arrange for, will cry out, "Away with them, and give us one king over all the earth who will unite us and annihilate the causes of disorders, who will give us peace and quiet, which we cannot find under our rulers and representatives." Then will the mob exalt us and bear us up in their hands in a unanimous triumph of hopes and expectations. Voting, which we have made the instrument which will set us on the throne of the world, will then have served its purpose and will play its part for the last time. The new kingdom will be blood-curdling. We shall create an intensified centralization of government in order to grip in our hands all the forces of the community. We shall regulate all the actions of the political life of our subjects by new laws. These laws will withdraw one by one all liberties of the Goyim, and our kingdom will be distinguished by a despotism of such magnificent proportions that we can wipe out any Goyim who oppose us by deed or word. The word freedom brings out the communities of men to fight against every kind of force, every kind of authority, even against God and the laws of nature. For this reason, when we come into our kingdom, we shall have to erase this word, freedom, from the lexicon of life, as implying a principle of brute force which turns mobs into bloodthirsty beasts. Freedom is the right to do that which the law allows. All freedom will thus be in our hands.
Sounds
In our
terrible.
programs, 1/3 of our subjects will keep the rest under observation from a sense of duty, on the principle of volunteer service to the state. It will then be no disgrace to be a spy and informer, but a merit. When we at last definitely come into our kingdom by the aid of coup d'etat, prepared everywhere for one and the same day, we shall make it our task to see that plots against us shall no longer exist. With this purpose we shall slay without mercy all who take arms to oppose our coming into our kingdom. Every kind of new institution of anything like a secret society will be punished with death. Those now in existence are known to us, serve us, and have served us. But we shall disband them and send them into exile to continents far removed from Europe. In this way we shall proceed with those Goy Masons who know too much. Those we may spare will be kept in constant fear of exile from Europe as the center of our rule. One authority will be glorious because it will be all-powerful. Our authority will be the crown of order, and in that is included the whole happiness of man. We, the lawgivers, shall execute judgment and sentence. We shall slay and we shall spare. We rule by force of will, and the weapons in our hands are limitless ambitions, burning greediness, merciless vengeance, hatred and malice. Resolutions of our government will be final, without appeal. Judges decide as we dictate them. When the time of our overt rule comes, all our laws will be brief, plain, stable, without any kind of interpretations, so that anyone will be in a position to know them perfectly. The main feature is submission to orders, and this principle will be carried to a grandiose height. Criminals will be arrested at the first, more or less, well-grounded suspicion. It cannot be allowed that out of fear of a possible mistake, an opportunity should be given to escape to persons suspected of a crime, for in these matters we shall be literally merciless. We shall re-educate the universities in a new direction. Their officials and professors will be prepared by detailed secret programs of action and will be so placed as to be wholly dependent upon the government. We shall replace the study of ancient history with a study of the program of the future.
It's like all this has already taken place. It's unbelievable.
We shall erase from the memory of men all facts of previous centuries which are undesirable to us, and leave only those which depict all the errors of the government of the Goyim. We shall abolish every kind of freedom of instruction. It is indispensable for us to undermine all faith, to tear out of the mind of the Goyim the very principle of God and spirit, and to replace them with arithmetical calculations and material needs. When we come into our kingdom, it will be undesirable for us that there should exist any other religion than ours of the one God with whom our destiny is bound up by our position as the chosen. We must therefore sweep away all other forms of belief. Our preaching of the religion of Moses has brought all the peoples of the world into subjection to us. Our philosophers will discuss all the shortcomings of the various beliefs of the Goyim, but no one will ever bring under discussion our faith from its true point of view, since this will be fully learned by none save ours, who will never dare to betray its secrets. Freedom of the press, the right of association, freedom of conscience, the voting principle must disappear forever from the memory of man, and undergo a radical alteration the day after the promulgation of the new constitution. What we want is that from the first moment of its promulgation, while the peoples of the world are still stunned by the accomplished fact of the revolution, still in a condition of terror and uncertainty, they should recognize once and for all that we are so strong, so superabundantly filled with power, that in no case shall we take any account of them. And so far from paying any attention to their opinions or wishes, we are ready and able to crush with irresistible power all expression or manifestation thereof at every moment and in every place, that we have seized at once everything we wanted, and shall in no case divide our power with them. Then in fear and trembling they will close their eyes to everything and be content to await what will be the end of it all. We've been leading the peoples from one disenchantment to another, so that in the end they will turn also from us in favor of that King Despot of the blood of Zion, whom we are preparing for the world. The new king, the chosen one. This chosen one of God is chosen from above. to demolish the senseless forces moved by instinct and not reason, by brutishness and not humaneness. These forces now triumph in manifestations of robbery and every kind of violence under the mask of principles of freedom and rights. They have overthrown all forms of social order to erect on the ruins the throne of the King of the Jews. But their part will be played out the moment he enters into his kingdom. Then it will be necessary to sweep them away from his path. When the King of Israel sets upon his sacred head the crown offered to him by Europe, he will become patriarch of the world. This king will be the real Pope of the universe, the patriarch of the international church. The protocols of Zion portray the world as it is today. Well, almost. The Khazarian King of Kings is not on the throne in Jerusalem just yet. The world population has not begged the Cabal to bring order out of chaos just yet. But are we far away from their end goal? Follow me to part 5.
Dang, Janet, that was intense. What a crazy world we live in. Holy smokes. Let's continue on. So that's Cabal and their evil plans as outlined in their protocols of Zion. This is freaking crazy because you can literally see it taking place.
Let me take you on a field trip to Georgia, US. On a hill in Elbert County, there is a granite monument called the Georgia Guidestones.
Built
in
in
1980, the monument is veiled in mystery. It was commissioned by a man who used the pseudonym R.C. Christian. He paid a handsome price, but insisted on remaining anonymous. The monument consists of 4 massive standing stones, 1 slab stone at the top, carried by a pillar stone, plus 1 explanatory stone. 2 things are captivating. First of all, the monument is an astronomical clock and calendar, focused on the sun, the moon, the equinoxes and the solstices. A hole was drilled in one of the stones, through which one can see the North Star. Secondly, the stones contain text, information about the future Earth and the era of reason. It is written in 8 modern languages. The shorter message is inscribed all around the top stone in 4 ancient languages: Babylonian, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Ancient Egyptian. This is the message. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
Not good.
Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. In short, population control.
Right.
The annihilation of a large part of the population. Pacific reproduction through eugenics. 1 language. 1 world court. Social duties over personal rights. Reason over passion.
Right.
Price truth. Whose truth? And nature over the human race, the cancer of the earth. And not to forget what they call the age of reason. Not the age of love, or the age of compassion, or the age of abundance for all. Obviously, this monument cannot be accused of being a hoax. After all, it simply stands there. So, what are we looking at? Who on earth was the mysterious Mr. Christian, who was willing to pay so much money for something so intricate and controversial? It seems to us that the Georgia Guidestones perfectly demonstrate the goal of the Cabal, the protocols of Zion. They are the Zion, the Zion, the 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 Zion. and the way they've been trying to hide their true intentions, by means of the eagerly gullible term sustainability. So, what do we see in our world today that is a reflection of these guidelines, these goals? Enter the United Nations. Believed by the majority of the people to be a wonderful institution, the UN was founded right after World War II in October 1945. Officially, the UN was set up to maintain worldwide peace and security and to develop relations and cooperation among nations. Their blue helmets are associated by many with the protection of the people. They are called the peacekeepers. Well, that's one side of the coin. The other side shows quite a different picture. A picture in which the UN's goal is a new world order, a one world government as promoted by the learned elders of Zion. Is that a proven fact? Yes. In 2008, the UN actually set up their very own UN New World Order project, led by Nelson Mandela's grandson and ex-CIA Jaime Ilian. According to highly influential people like the presidents Bush Sr. and Bush Jr. and Gorbachev, the New World Order must be founded on the principle of collective security. And that is precisely where the UN comes in. The UN Blue Helmets can lawfully intervene whenever the UN believes a country is a danger to collective security. They can lawfully send an army and attack that country, like they did in the Korean War in 1950 and again in the Persian Gulf in 1990. Or they can lawfully send military missions to a country like in Sierra Leone from 1999 till 2006. The UN Army comprises of 70,000 soldiers from various countries. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well,
good.
Let's put it this way. Assuming that the intent was good, the outcome was often bad. Terrible, as a matter of fact, even shockingly horrific. Now we understand that many people will have a very hard time realizing that organizations such as the UN and its WHO are not the benign entities they claim to be. We understand the level of cognitive dissonance, of denial that we may trigger. But it is imperative to realize that both the UN and the WHO
let it
are cabal
trigger
machines to the core. They hide behind a facade of beauty,
right.
But make no mistake,
that's what evil
behind
does.
their mask, these entities are monsters. So, in order to deal with the myth of the peacekeepers, here are some facts that everybody needs to know. The UN has been involved with sexual exploitation and abuse for decades. There have been countless reports of sexual abuse, rape, women and child trafficking. When UN peacekeepers were stationed in Cambodia in 1993, the number of prostitutes rose from 6,000 to more than 25,000 in that year alone. The widespread use of prostitutes involved violent sexual abuse of girls.
Terrible.
The UN response was threefold. The head of mission declared it wasn't important enough to follow up on, and that boys will be boys. Mission leadership advised peacekeepers not to wear uniforms when visiting prostitutes or park UN vehicles directly outside. And an additional 800,000 condoms were shipped to Cambodia to prevent the spread of HIV.
Gosh dang.
Ah, well, 1993, that's a long time ago. Okay, 2 years later, in 1995, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, evidence emerged that women and girls were being trafficked to work as sex slaves for UN personnel, and later that interveners were complicit in sex trafficking. However, it took 6 years before the UN came forward with a statement, and only because of rising public attention.
These things so quickly get swept under the rug. I don't get it. And not properly addressed.
The official investigation into this matter reported an obvious reluctance by the UN to recognize the involvement of peacekeepers in trafficking. The result? Did the UN prosecute any of the abusers or traffickers? No, it did not. It rewrote the definition of trafficking, making it less severe a crime under international law, and failed to provide adequate victim protection. Shortly thereafter, independent consultants raised the alarm that UN and NGO staff were abusing and exploiting local women and girls in refugee camps in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. According to an OYOS investigation in 2001, sexual exploitation and abuse was most common. Examples? The sexual relationship between a UN civilian staff member and a 17-year-old refugee in exchange for school fees. The violent rape of girls by NGO staff. The rape of boys by Blue Helmets in Sierra Leone. The exchange of sex for food provided by NGO staff. And the refusal of international staff to take responsibility for children fathered with local women. From opportunistic sexual abuse, transactional sex, and networked sexual exploitation to planned sadistic attacks. 2015, Central African Republic. 2 girls aged 14 and 18 were gang raped by armed MINUSCA peacekeepers near their base. The 18-year-old had asked for some food. The 14-year-old had simply walked by.
Wow.
Same year, same country. Homeless and starving boys aged 8 to 15 were repeatedly raped by 26 UN peacekeepers. And UN peacekeepers randomly shot and killed a 16-year-old boy and his father and raped a 12-year-old girl.
Folks, I know this is hard to absorb, but we can't continue to go on under the illusion of these institutions as though they're good and pure. Worse things would come of that unless we held proper accountability, and we haven't. So what is it's no secret and it's no surprise as to why things have been deteriorating so greatly. So if it's bringing you down, you know, you can fast forward the segment or wait till it's uploaded, get past this portion. But I do find it crucial, a lot of the connections that Janet is made to bring in understanding on the big picture.
2016, more than 108 additional cases were investigated, including the sexual abuse of 98 girls by international peacekeepers.
Unbelievable.
The list of sexual exploitation and abuse is endless.
Endless. Wow.
In every single country, from Haiti to Somalia to Rwanda and Liberia, where 58,000 women and girls were raped in the first 9 years of UNMIL, more of 75% by UN personnel. From East Timor to Sarajevo, Bosnia, where Italian peacekeepers ran child prostitution rings from their barracks, the Blue Helmets left a trail of abuse and trauma. As one of the official reports so strikingly put it, many parts of the world where the UN was present were descending into chaos, if not hell, and arguably with the assistance of the UN. There were plenty of investigations, but hardly any of the perpetrators who admitted to their crimes were prosecuted. Let that sink in. Even recently, the UN was once again connected with child trafficking and child abuse, when Canadian UN mogul Peter Dalgleish was caught in the act abusing 2 young boys in Nepal. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison. Up until his arrest in 2019, Dalgleish had been presented as a saint, a protector of children. He was country representative for UN Habitat in Afghanistan. He truly was into children. He even set up Street Kids International to help homeless children. What a saint. What a great loss to our children. Oh, and the UN have more on their slate. Remember the war in former Yugoslavia from 1992 till 95? In July 95, the UN failed to protect the so-called safe area in the enclave of Srebrenica. Instead of protecting the Bosnian people who had fled there, the UN Dutch bat turned away. And there was nothing they could do. They too had been betrayed at the highest level.
You know what? I can't help it. Like, 9 years for that man was not enough. Once again, the precedence was set from God in the scripture. Better a millstone tied around your neck and drop in the depths of the sea. It is time we start setting freaking examples to individuals that would prey upon our children. We should literally bring back lynching posts. Town square. Leave them up there. Let it rot. Better that than the innocence of children or even the death. Because it's not just, it goes beyond perversion. Unbelievable. Start setting standards like that. Yeah. I'm sure the numbers of incidences will dwindle drastically.
"8,372 Bosnian men and boys were separated from their families one night and were slaughtered by Serbian armed forces. More than 100,000 people were massacred in this useless war, mostly Bosnians. Between 30 and 50,000 Bosnian women, children and elderly were raped and deported. The official status of genocide wasn't acknowledged under international law until 2004. Back to the official mission of the UN, to turn this world into a better place.
Right.
This is highlighted by the Club of Rome, a group of 100 powerful men and women set up in 1968 by, among others, David Rockefeller at his private estate near Rome. A private club presenting itself as a think tank, providing suggestions to the UN. Its goal? To discuss its concern about the future of planet Earth, to come up with solutions, and to urge governments worldwide to act upon those solutions. In 1972, The Limits to Growth was published, the Club of Rome's first paper on the problems of humanity, followed by the First Global Revolution in 1991, in which humanity was outed as the root problem of all the misery in the world. In need of a common enemy against whom we can unite, we have decided that pollution, global warming, water shortages, famine, etc. are perfect. These are threats we need to confront together. But we should not fall into the trap of mistaking symptoms for causes. All these dangers are caused by human intervention in natural processes, and it is only through changed attitudes and behavior that they can be overcome. The real enemy is humanity itself.
Club of Rome, Rothschild, Rockefellers, just even based on things like this, I don't understand as to why we don't indict and go into their property, seize everything they have, do full investigations just based on this information here. Known everything else that they've been known to do. Guaranteed we would come up with something. Now, if we did it, if individuals did it that were trustworthy, not the FBI, CIA, that would cover for them, that are already owned by them. I'm so sick of seeing these mass genocides and endless wars, and they're kicking off ones as we speak right now, leading to mass genocide of innocent lives, women and children. It is horrific. It's time to take the head off of this snake, right? Not be caught up in all the fluff and continually addressing low-end puppets.
This, my friends, was the foundation of everything that was about to unfold. Humanity as the cause of all problems. The UN was delighted by the Club of Rome. It had founded the World Commission on Environment and Development in 1983. And the parallels with the conclusions of the first Global Revolution research paper were obvious. From now on, sustainability was the Cabal's magic word. And so, in 1992, the first United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, or Earth Summit, was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where the first Agenda for Environment and Development, also known as Agenda 21, was developed and adopted.
Wow.
21 was a reference to the 21st century, when all of the said goals would have to be met. 178 governments agreed with and signed the agreement.
Not good.
At the UN Sustainable Development Summit of 2015, Agenda 2030 was presented, an extended version of Agenda 21. 11 more goals were added to the original agenda, all aimed at the future of our planet and the human race. All aimed at sustainability. By now, 193 countries were participating. Do you know how many countries there are in the world? Only 2 more. 195. The only 2 that are called observer states are the Vatican and Palestine. Agenda 2030 contains 91 paragraphs. Paragraph 59 outlines 17 Sustainable Development Goals. There are 169 targets and 232 indicators. This makes it a rather dry document to digest. But we read it, and we were impressed. Impressed by the level of cleverness and cunningness with which something so evil was put together so seemingly benign.
Right.
Using complex phrases in which words like peace, equality,
manipulation,
safety, and security are repeated frequently.
Right.
The reader is actually left with a good, positive
by design.
feeling. We'll show you the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in the following slide. Feel free to pause the video and have a proper look. We will, however, continue swiftly, as we wish to point out where things go wrong, not where things appear to be right.
It's truly the wolf in sheep's clothing.
Let's face it, these goals are not feasible. The Club of Rome and the UN can use as many beautiful words as they can come up with, but how on earth are they going to accomplish these 17 goals? By asking you and me to pay more tax? Think about it. Number 1, end poverty in all its forms everywhere. Really? How? The word sustainable is used 10 times. Why? To throw fairy dust into our eyes so that we don't see? So that we will willingly pay more tax, and more tax, and more? So that the world will be saved from us, the cancer of the earth? There is nothing sound about these 17 goals. There is no logic. Take goal number 7. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. How? Are they finally giving the oppressed free 0-point energy of Nikola Tesla to the people?
Nope.
Really? The real reason why these goals were put together is to come to the conclusion that they can never be achieved as long as all the participating countries in the world and all their governments have to communicate with each other. That too much time, too much money is lost due to endless meetings. I'll bet you that the next step will be the announcement that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals can only be reached with a one world government.
Right.
The countries will have to give up their sovereignty in order to save the world. Mark my words.
Control, control.
the essence of the entire Agenda 2030 is socialist communistic.
Right.
It describes equal distribution of goods and money, which sounds great, but which in fact means that the rich countries are to share their wealth with the poor countries. These poor countries are generally run by highly corrupted usurpers, dictators, such as Kenyatta of Kenya and Obiang of Papua New Guinea, or Xi Jinping of China. Are they going to share their wealth, their blood money, with their people?
Right.
That sounds like a wonderful idea to get rid of poverty once and for all. Everybody would be rich in a split second. Let's take all the money from these corrupted governments, add to it the immense wealth of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, both the British and the Dutch royal families, and of course, the Vatican. Let's redistribute that wealth among the world population. My, what a marvelous idea to end poverty once and for all. Well, no. The people will share with the people. So, in my case, the Dutch taxpayer will have to pay and share with the poor people of, in this example, New Guinea. Now, don't get me wrong, I am for sharing, absolutely, but not according to the plans of the UN, where corrupt, malign governments remain unaffected.
Well said.
Read the paragraphs, the targets and indicators of Agenda 2030. Read them well, and you will see that the people will bleed, not the governments. Whenever governments talk about equality, you can rest assured that communism is involved, and they don't even hide it. Top globalists such as former NATO chief Javier Solana, a socialist, openly celebrate the plan as the next great leap forward. That's right, the old campaign slogan of the Chinese Communist Party. And isn't it odd that straight away, just about every country in the world decided to participate and work together? Every dictator of every corrupt government, who still had the blood on their hands of innocent civilian victims, signed Agenda 21 and later Agenda 2030. Countries that had been at war with each other for years, like for instance Ethiopia and Eritrea, now all of a sudden shook hands, smiled in front of the camera, and decided to forget about their wars on drugs, weapons and people trafficking, just to focus on the importance of a better world? On sustainability? Are you kidding me? What on earth were we looking at here? How much will the implementation of Agenda 2030 cost anyway? Well, according to the UN, and confirmed by the World Bank in a 2015 statement, between $3 and $5 trillion per year. That is 12 zeros. $5 trillion per year. Where the hell is the UN going to get that money from?
Right.
All those zeros are going to be collected from the taxpayers, from you and me. That's what the solution of the UN is all about. The moment a baby is born, that baby has a carbon footprint. And from the moment he or she was born, that baby will have to pay. Isn't that brilliant? The shame and blame that is put on you and me, my goodness me. Agenda 21, 2030, the Club of Rome, the UN, they all claim that we, the people, are to blame for the misery in the world, from poverty to inequality, from famine to the exhaustion of the planet's resources. Fine, let's talk about the planet's resources, shall we? Ever heard of Henry Kissinger? Oh, you will. Let's continue to part 6.
Oh my goodness, folks. Man, I really wish I was in a better state for y'all today. Once again, we ebb and flow. And unfortunately, I'm in a lull and I don't know what is necessarily going on. I'm doing the best I can. So we'll just let Janet speak for herself today. And we'll more than likely wrap up after this one, part 6. So I hope you enjoy. I hope this expands our minds as to really acknowledging the world we're born into, the way things are operating. It is important that we come to terms with it, and more than just understand it, that we actually root out the flaws and seek the proper improvements. And we got this together. So when I'm down, I just hope someone else steps up helps pick up the slack. So if you got important information, links, or want to guest on the podcast yourself, just reach out to unmuzzledchat@gmail.com. I look forward to your emails. God bless you, and let's get into this part 6.
Henry Kissinger, world famous as U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor under Nixon and Ford. By some hailed as a hero, by others maligned as a war criminal. Kissinger wrote a top-secret report in 1973 called National Security Study Memorandum, or NSSM 200, also called the Kissinger Report. It talks about the planet's resources, all right. Henry Kissinger came up with a marvelous plan to consolidate the smooth flow of valuable resources from various countries across the world to the US. According to Kissinger, taking other countries' resources was easy as long as countries were stable. Unstable countries were difficult to access. So the question he posed was, how do we stabilize less developed countries? Because for some reason, the planet's most valuable resources, such as oil, natural gas, gold and minerals, were all in less developed countries. In his infamous report, he wrote, "Wherever a lessening of population pressures through reduced birth rates can increase the prospects for such stability, population policy becomes relevant to resource supplies and to the economic interest of the United States." Fancy words to say that in order to create stability, one needs population policy. What does that mean? Legalizing abortion, giving families money if they use contraception, if they accept sterilization and/or abortion.
Not good.
And if that isn't sufficient, population policy means forced birth control, forced sterilization, and forced abortions.
Gosh.
Furthermore, Kissinger advised withholding aid, disaster aid, and food aid if a less developed country refused to implement the US population control programs. That was the way to pillage a country of its resources, create stability by reducing the population, and, most importantly, by getting rid of the anti-imperialist youth, the youngsters who tend to ask critical questions. They had to disappear. The result? A massacre worldwide, documented thoroughly in various excellent and courageous research papers that, for some reason, were ignored by the mainstream media and by the UN itself. We will give you 2 examples, 2 of many: China and Peru. We all know about China's one-child policy that started in 1979. In 2015, this policy was changed into a 2-child policy if the first baby is a girl. How does that work in practice? With the financial help of the United Nations Population Fund, formerly known as the United Nations Fund for Population Activities, the UNFPA, China developed state-of-the-art tracking systems and computer surveillance programs to keep track of women's monthly cycles. And if a woman is pregnant, the program will know immediately whether the unborn baby is her first, or, if it's her second, whether her first child was indeed a girl. If the system shows the baby in her belly is not allowed by the government to be there, she will be arrested and have a forced abortion.
Horrific.
That, my dear viewer, is China's policy as approved of and stimulated by the UN. As soon as I was taken out of the van, I saw hundreds of pregnant moms there, all of them just like pigs in the slaughterhouse. The room was full of mums who had just gone through a forced abortion.
Wow.
Some mums were crying, some mums were screaming, and one was rolling on the floor in unbearable pain. Then it was my turn. It was the end of the world for me. When the surgery was finished, the nurse showed me part of my baby's bloody foot with her tweezers.
Gosh.
After the forced abortion, The fetus or baby is left with his mother, either in bed or in a bucket. This insane sadistic cruelty is topped up with the absence of any kind of support system for the traumatized parents. As we want people to know what is happening in the world with the support of the UN, we will show some shocking pictures. If you don't want to watch, that's understandable and we fully respect that. Simply close your eyes for 16 seconds.
All right, well, there's a disclaimer. Didn't even need to get to these lengths here in America, it seems. With the manipulation of the shot, with the manipulation of my body, my choice, with the manipulation on the information warfare and taking God out of things, so we have more so idolized ourselves as gods. Unbelievable to rule out our own responsibility. Crazy. And we just drink it all up and miss out on the true blessing and miracles and meaning and purpose of this existence. The devil is so cunning.
Starting from the moment the music changes. Now.
Oh, it breaks my heart. My gosh.
Of course, the United Nations Population Fund denies being involved in forced abortions, but according...
And in America, they want to call it a fetus. They want to call it a clump of cells. It's a life.
To its own documents, it donated more than $100 million to China's population control program. It financed a $12 million computer complex, specifically to monitor the population program. It provided the technical expertise and personnel that trained thousands of Chinese population.
Klaus Schwab compliments China on its accomplishments, wants to integrate that into all other countries. It's very effectively being implemented right here in the States and growing each and every day. They're investing so much into this, and it all boils down to control and enslavement. We're going to sit back. That's the thing with World War III at our doorstep, just different warfare than we're accustomed to, fifth generation warfare, more so silent, through information manipulation, through bioweapons, through surveillance, through centralized currencies, trying to move us into this digital. Oh man, it's not good. Frick, could you feel the pain? Could you, I'm struggling over here. I'm going to just let Jana do the talking. I apologize. Love you guys.
Control officials. In China, abortions have been used as a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Hundreds of millions of lives have been exterminated. The UN Population Fund was complicit in China's population control policies from the beginning. They did not only turn a blind eye to abuses, but helped facilitate and fund them. The UN Population Fund funded birth restrictions. It funded forced abortions. It funded China's coercive family planning bureaucracy. They also defended China's actions. Congressman Christopher Smith, co-chairman of the Congressional Executive Commission on China, 2017. One result of the one-child policy that we never hear the UN about is the surge in female infanticide that has now resulted in a disastrous sex ratio of 115 boys to every 100 girls. Female infanticide means that parents actually kill their baby girls. China has a cultural preference for boys, so the baby girls are killed. Do you know what that does to a parent? If you do, it will not surprise you that China has the highest female suicide rate in the world, and it is the only country listed where the number of suicides among women surpasses that of men. Any sympathy from the UN? No. On the contrary, the United Nations Population Fund presented China with a UN award for the most outstanding population control program.
Unbelievable.
Oh, and let's not forget their official mission: to deliver a world where every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled.
Wow.
Under the one-child policy, the Communist Party, by its own estimation, prevented over 400 million births and carried out over 336 million abortions. More children were aborted under the one-child policy than the entire population of the United States.
Wow. How has God not stepped in yet? Oh my goodness, this breaks my heart. I hope this shifts the priorities for us in this existence. I don't know, when I gather information like this, and I know some of it's historical, but a lot of it's happening right now. And the things that just prior to this episode that seemed more important don't seem important at all anymore, does it? And there's just this shift, and it's a shift for the betterment, because it could lead us on a path of true meaning and purpose and improving this world on behalf of all God's children.
In April 2017, the Trump administration stopped funding the United Nations Population Fund.
Good.
Peru. Between 1995 and 1907, over 250,000 Peruvian women were sterilized as part of a program to fulfill President Fujimori's family planning goals, financed by the US.
Wow.
Although this campaign was called the Voluntary Surgical Contraception Campaign, many of these procedures were forced. In fact, women whose underway children were on government food programs were threatened with the withholding of this food if they refused to be sterilized, and others were kidnapped from their families and forcibly sterilized. In a little over 2 years, 250,000 women were deeply traumatized. Most of them were poor and indigenous. Not all women survived the surgery due to poor hygiene in the local hospitals. At least 100 women from my area went to the clinic that day. We were promised medicine. A lorry took us to the clinic.
It sucks, man. I don't even want to claim human. I don't want to claim the same species as these freaking evil doers. This is taking every last bit of fear I have out of me into seeking extreme accountability against evil in this existence. I hope there's more men, women out there to help champion these narratives so we could build momentum together and actually fulfill a better world, or, for me, willing to die trying. I just get so fired up when it comes to women and children. This is just unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
We all arrived innocent and happy. Then we heard screams and I just ran. But the doors were locked, so I could not escape. I was 3 months pregnant. The health center staff knew this. They still went ahead. When I woke up, I was sterilized against my will. The examples go on and on and on. In every less developed country, the UN's concern was not with development, health, or women's empowerment, but with reversing the unchecked growth of the world population. From the very beginning, the concept of a population explosion was a false alarm specifically designed to allow rich nations to pillage the resources of the poorer nations.
Right.
And Kissinger? He simply laid out the protocols of Zion for modern times. Who is Kissinger, really? He was born in 1923 in southern Germany,
Bunch
right
of
at the Cabal center
devils.
of Bavaria. His full name? Heinz Alfred Kissinger. He claims to be Jewish, but his credentials show all the signs of Khazarian roots. His family name wasn't Kissinger, it was Loeb. The name Kissinger was adopted in 1817 by his great-great-grandfather, Meyer Loeb, after the Bavarian town of Bad Kissingen. The name Meyer Loeb struck a chord. Hadn't we seen that name before? Meyer Amschel Rothschild's great-grandfather's name was Loeb Rothschild. Meyer Rothschild, Loeb Rothschild, Meyer Loeb Kissinger. We wouldn't be surprised if, one day, the truth will be presented about Henry Kissinger being a Rothschild. In order to understand the UN for what it really is, the ultimate cabal monster, one must know about the countless NGOs that are connected, directly or indirectly, to the UN. NGO means non-governmental organization. It means they don't have to pay tax, as they are non-profit organizations. It doesn't matter if they make astronomical piles of money. All NGOs are tax-exempt under the Internal Revenue Code, Section 501C. In this case, most of them are 501c3s and 501c4s. Not long ago, we believed NGOs do good things. Well, upon researching the NGOs set up by the UN and working for the UN, we were in for a rude awakening.
Right.
We've already seen the United Nations Population Fund aiding and paying for the Chinese Communist government with its horrid population control policy. Then there's the Population Council, yet another non-profit organization aimed at eugenics and depopulation. Eugenics intends to improve the genetic quality of the human race. We all know where that led to in World War II. Isn't it remarkable that the Population Council actually presents itself as addressing critical health and development issues such as voluntary family planning and girls' empowerment? Really? Let's have a closer look, shall we? The Population Council was founded in 1952 by John D. Rockefeller III. It addressed the problem of overpopulation, stating that modern civilization had reduced the operation of natural selection by saving more weak lives and enabling them to reproduce, resulting in a downward trend in genetic quality. That genetic quality had to be protected, and so the Population Council was set up to devote itself to reduce the fertility of the world population. Rockefeller became the organization's first president. He was succeeded by members of the American Eugenics Society. Early grants supported studies in embryonic development and paid for sterilization experiments on women with bad hereditary history. It was clear from the start that the Population Council had nothing to do with protecting women's health and safety. It had everything to do with the Cabal's depopulation program.
Right.
The intrauterine device they forced on millions of women in India, Pakistan, South Korea and Taiwan caused major side effects, such as severe pains, protracted bleeding, pelvic inflammatory disease, and perforated uteruses. Nonetheless, with the help of the national governments of those countries that were paid millions of dollars in blood money, the birth control measures continued without any care or compensation for the women in question.
So horrific.
In 1969, the Population Council published an article entitled Beyond Family Planning. The document offered legitimacy to, for instance, adding fertility control agents to water supplies in urban areas, temporary sterilization of all young women via time capsule contraceptives, and compulsory sterilization of men with 3 or more children. Once again, the Population Council actually presents itself as addressing critical health and development issues, such as voluntary family planning. Voluntary? Really? These are the kind of population control NGOs we are dealing with. There are 37 NGOs right now that deal with the overpopulation program. 37 NGOs worldwide advocating negative population growth, repeating over and over again the words sustainability, devastating effects, overpopulation, environment. Call it group hypnosis, call it brainwashing. You don't believe me? Here are just a few. Negative population growth. a non-profit membership organization that aims to educate the American public and political leaders about the devastating effects of overpopulation on the environment, natural resources, and the overall standard of living. They advocate for a significant reduction in current population numbers in the US. A significant reduction? How, for God's sake? The 10 Million Club Foundation.
How? COVID vaccines is how. Childhood vaccines is how. The spraying of the skies is how. The water, the centralization and poisoning of our food, biowarfare, the Lyme disease I'm fighting, so many other things, countless things. Look as to how health is deteriorating so exponentially in this very country. True epidemics seemingly arising each and every day. Will forever be dogs chasing its tail, trying to fight the symptoms, trying to fight to gain back our health, our resilience, unless we start putting a stop to these strategic war tactics to dumb us down, kill us off. It's no joke, and it's nothing short of that. We could bring on the other experts that actually show the world is nowhere near. And when you look at it biblically, you think the God of this world that spoke everything into existence wouldn't see plenty, just an abundance for good children of his? That should be the least of our concerns. It's all hoax. It's all for control.
This Dutch foundation aims to bring about public awareness of the need to reduce the Netherlands' population significantly so as to create a truly sustainable society. Reduce the population of my country significantly? Excuse me? Rientro Dolce, an Italian association that concerns itself with overpopulation, environment and energy. Its name comes from Marco Panella's idea of a mild return to a world with 2 billion human beings. What? A mild return? What does that mean? Killing the other 5.5 billion softly with a smile? Hugging them to death? Oh, and then there's Planned Parenthood. Yet another NGO that has our best interests at heart.
Wow.
The International Planned Parenthood Federation was founded in Brooklyn, New York in 1917 by Margaret Sanger as a birth control clinic. In 1942, the name Planned Parenthood was chosen. Planned Parenthood grew into a huge enterprise with more than 600 abortion clinics in the US alone. Every year, it is responsible for the abortion of approximately 350,000 babies. In several American states, abortion is allowed up to and including the moment of birth. Full-term abortion is the term coined for this event. The doctors at Planned Parenthood have no problems with this. On the contrary, on several occasions, medical staff were caught on hidden cameras selling body parts of aborted babies to third parties. Nurses admitted to knowing exactly how to turn the baby in its mother's womb so that the internal organs would not be harmed during the abortion in order to harvest them after the procedure. They admitted the aborted babies were alive when their bodies were cut open to retrieve the organs, commissioned by well-paying third parties.
A lot of people want attack cards these days. They're looking for specific notes. Yesterday was the first time she said people wanted lungs, right? And then she felt like I should always as many attack livers as possible. People just want
livers.
People want lower extremities too, which that's simple. That's easy. I don't know what they're doing with it. I guess they want muscle.
Yeah, a dime a dozen.
So it's a federal felony. What happened? All these evil institutions and its minions. It's a two-tiered infrastructure, folks. If you tried doing this and not included the elites, oh, you'd be done. Unbelievable.
I'm the medical director for the national office for all of affiliates. You know, I'm going to throw a number out. I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
The $30 to $100 price, that's per specimen that we're talking about, right?
Specimen.
Yeah.
Yes.
How much of a difference does it actually make if you know what kind of what's expected or what we need versus?
It makes a huge difference. I'd say a lot of people want liver, and for that reason, most providers put this case under ultrasound guidance, so they'll know where they're putting their forceps. Kind of rate-limiting step of the procedure is calvarium. Calvarium, the head is basically the biggest part. Most of the other stuff can come out intact.
Right.
It's very rare that patient doesn't have enough dilation to evacuate all the
To bring the body cavity out, intact and all that.
So then you're just kind of cognizant of where you put your vasculars. You try to intentionally go above and below the thorax so that, you know, we've been very good at getting cars on liver. We know that, so I'm not going to crush that far.
Oh my gosh. Eating food, drinking wine as while having this discussion.
We'll actually try to change the presentation so that's not vertex. So it's a vertex presentation. You never have enough dilation to manage the case unless you have real huge amount of dilation to deliver an intact calvarium. So if you do it starting from the breech presentation, there's dilation that happens as the case goes on, and often at the last you can evacuate the tongue out. So I mean, there are certainly
You gotta shut these places down. I'm sorry. With some education, some responsibility, cause and effect, accountability. I'm sorry. You participate in the act that creates life. Well, if you happen to create life, that's just, you're responsible for those actions, just like driving your car, just like anything in this life. You can't rule that out. Murder is not an option. Murder is not a right. Oh, it boils my blood. We got to stop this, folks.
steps that can be taken.
So they can convert to breech, for example, at the start of the...
Exactly. They can start ultrasound guidance, they can just change the presentation.
Should seek extreme accountability.
Federal abortion ban is a law, and laws are up to interpretation.
Wow.
So if I say on day one I do not intend to do this, what ultimately happens doesn't matter.
Realistically, if we were to do an agreement with you guys, you know, what do we think you could get? I mean, what do you feel like you could get?
Volume-wise?
Yeah,
okay.
On specifically liver tissue, because that's such an area of demand for us.
Right, so liver and what about intact specimens? Just
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you had intact cases, which we've done a lot, so we sometimes ship those back to our lab in its entirety.
So what would keep your lab happy? Like, what would make your lab happy?
Another 50 livers a week.
you can handle that?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you probably know, potentially, I mean, I think that one of the issues with neural tissue is so fragile. It's insanely fragile.
Right.
Did these individuals go down?
I know we get requests neural. It's the hardest thing in the world to ship.
You do the whole calvarium.
That's it. Yeah, that's the easiest way. And I mean, we've actually had good success with that in the past. So
Like, make sure the eyes are closed.
Yeah. Tell the lab it's coming. Then I'll open the box.
Yeah,
Oh God. You know what I mean? So yeah, where so many of the academic labs cannot fly like that. They're just not capable.
God help us.
Why is that? I don't understand it.
It's almost like they don't want to know where it comes from. I can see that. Where they're like, we need limbs, but no hands and feet need to be attached. And you're like,
They just want the long bones and they don't want to see that.
they want you to take it all off. Like, make it so that we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's like,
Bone the chicken for me, and then
that's it.
you
So
know, and
like,
then I'll eat it.
But we
not-
know what it is. I mean, with their lab.
This goes to that whole stigma.
Oh,
that, you know,
yeah.
this is
And their lab techs freak out
not
and
funny.
have meltdowns, and so it's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, I think you're either in the cause or you're not.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the cause, like, they don't need you around.
Get out.
They need champions, and if you're not a champion, you should go.
Yeah.
Because that's just, you know, and I don't know, the clinics, you know, they're very guarded, as they should be.
Yeah.
And who do they let in their house? They want champions in their house, right?
Hello, I'm Cecile Richards, president of Planned Parenthood Federation of America. I want to be really clear. The allegation that Planned Parenthood profits in any way from tissue donation is not true.
Liar.
What would you expect for intact tissue? What sort of compensation? What sort of...
Well, why don't you start by telling me what you used to pay?
Lowball it. Tell me what you really...
$75 a specimen.
Oh, that's way too low. And that's way too low. I want to keep you happy.
I've been in places that did 50 too. But see, we're not in it for the money. Now, this is for tissue that you actually take, not just the tissue that the person volunteers that you can't find anything.
Exactly.
And here's another thought is, you know, we can talk about specimen as per specimen per case or per procured tissue sample, which would be, so if we're able to get a liver thymus pair, you know, maybe that is $75 per specimen, and so that's for, you know, for liver thymus pair, and that's $150, versus if we can get liver thymus, brain hemisphere, and all that, then, you know, and then so that protects us so that we're not paying for what we can't use. I mean, that also.
I want a Lamborghini. I said I want a Lamborghini.
I want a Lamborghini. Disgusting.
Planned Parenthood has been receiving millions from, for instance, the American
Millions.
government, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Buffett Foundation, the Ford Foundation,
Expose them.
Turner Foundation, and many others.
Can you grasp now a bit as to why Janet is no longer with us? Exposing big companies. I mean, she truly was unmuzzled. She's truly a gift to us all. But the majority of us aren't. It's as though we don't even have the stomachs for the warfare, and we'll just allow the warfare to continue. We don't have. Like, oh, my brain. Folks, we gotta do something, I swear.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave no less than $89.5 million to Planned Parenthood. Why? To kill unborn babies? Why the heck do they call this charity? The most merciful thing that a large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it.
What? Oh my gosh.
The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective. A marriage license shall in itself give husband and wife only the right to a common household and not the right to parenthood. No woman shall have the legal right to bear a child, and no man shall have the right to become a father without a permit for parenthood.
Wow.
We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population.
Wow. And these individuals kick off race wars amongst the people. So we'll fight amongst each other versus actually identifying the true racists and the true devilish characters that are waging this warfare and tyranny.
But from my view, I believe that there should be no more babies.
Wow.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously.
Wow.
Her courage, her tenacity, her vision.
Wow. Says a lot.
President Trump ended the US funding of Planned Parenthood in 2019.
Good.
Oh, and just as we started editing this part 6, we received news that Henry Kissinger is one of 11 high-ranked officials who have just been removed from the Pentagon Defense Policy Board, effective immediately. Thank you, President Trump. We could talk about the UN forever. Its brilliant business constructs, its evil deeds, and its hypnotic words to put up a smokescreen to divert the public from seeing the truth of its real threefold purpose. Pillaging the resources of less developed countries, money laundering, and population control, better known as the Depopulation Program. The money laundering will be clarified next. We promise you, when we're done with the UN and its NGOs, you will never donate another dollar ever again to any one of them. Let's continue with more crime, fraud, and the frontman of this entire scheme in part 7.
Wow. She does great work. Now I understand these deep dives. It's difficult. It's gut-wrenching. It's hard to absorb. It's a crazy world we live in. Clearly, as Jesus said, there's a God here, and he's here to destroy, to deceive, to murder, to steal. And he's become far too effective. Holy smokes. Well, I don't know if I'll in fact start pre-watching some of these episodes to gear up a bit more. I might even need a couple days, a few days, because it's probably the relocating. I got a lot on my mind. I got to get down and vote. There's a lot that goes into these relocations, and I just feel utterly exhausted. And I don't feel I know I'm not doing you justice. So I want to show up at a better capacity for you all. I value your time extremely. And I just want to provide the best information I can, so we can start getting on a path sooner versus later to real solutions. All right, so we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Whether we do some intermittent episodes, diving into some real, more current events, or continue this series. But I appreciate you. Jesus is calling. Let's go ahead and dive into this read, and we're going to wrap up because I got to get going today, folks. I appreciate you. So November 1st reads, "Do not be discouraged by the difficulty of keeping your focus on me. I know that your heart's desire is to be aware of my presence continually. This is a lofty goal. You aim toward it, but never fully achieve it in this life." It's so true. It's like we could try. We only get just snips. Don't let feelings of failure weigh you down. Instead, try to see yourself as I see you. First of all, I am delighted by your deep desire to walk closely with me through your life. I am pleased each time you initiate communication with me. In addition, I notice the progress you have made since you first resolved to live in my presence. When you realize that your mind has wandered away from me, don't be alarmed or surprised. You live in a world that has been rigged to distract you. Each time you plow your way through the massive distractions to communicate with me, you achieve a victory. Rejoice in these tiny triumphs, and they will increasingly light up your days. I needed that. Holy smokes. I'm excited to dive in. I should have even pulled up these scriptures because I love Romans and Hebrews. So we have Romans 8:33 through 34 and Hebrews 4:14 through 16. No doubt those are amazing. I'm going to keep this open because I want to dive into the Bible. I challenge you to do the same. Well, I did what I could today in this regard at a very limited capacity. I only hope and pray that all somehow get through rest and more healing, be able to show up in a more enlightening, educational way for you all. That being said, I guess what I hope everyone had a happy Halloween. I guess that's a lot of people will probably be running around with all that this weekend. I'm out in the sticks. I'm not plugged into all this civilization anymore. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that do me any good. Going back, I actually loathe and fear going back down to the valley. It's like I'm just going to be seeing a bunch of zombies, a bunch of robots. Mindlessly, like just wrapped up into the Matrix. Oblivious. I don't know how I'm going to pray for me. Wish me luck. And I'll pray for all of you. May our loving Creator bless you this beautiful day. And bless this country of ours. We are in for a ride. Who knows what's going to take place here in the near future. If you want to do some preparations, check out our affiliations. You want to support what we're trying to do here, check out the Buy Me a Coffee, the Venmo, Cash App, or GoFundMe. Other than that, we will see you soon. Hopefully, I'll be rejuvenated and ready to kick some freaking butt. Till next time, take care.